You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. This is your host, Ken Lane. We happen to own a garden center here in Prescott, Arizona. Our family, actually, we're the second generation owners. We've been farming and playing with plants throughout northern Arizona for many, many decades. Actually, my father-in-law goes back into the 1950s when he was landscaping out of the back of a station wagon, of all things. And he tells the story where he had to borrow his first shovel. I think that's carrying it a bit too far, but back then, when you're just starting out in a small town where we didn't used to be very big. We still aren't really. All the towns in northern Arizona, we still have that thread of closeness, of small, of intimacy, of fellowship and friendliness and all that stuff that goes with the mountains. I mean, up here in God's country, it's just better, isn't it? The hills are alive with all the mountain rains. It's been very nice. It is unfortunately making my mushrooms grow crazy. I thought I would touch on mushrooms. Are they good or bad? What are they? So now, I'm not talking about the ones that you eat. Now, some of you are so good, so smart, such. You're in tune with the forest. You're great gardeners. That's beyond my element. I'm not able to have the confidence to walk through the forest and go, oh, there looks like a good one. I'll just nibble on that one. I don't know if they're poisonous, not poisonous. I'm not making that claim. What I'm going with this segment, I'm having quite a few customers come in and go, what should I do with these? They're growing up in my squash or in my bushes or in my lawn. Why? Why are they doing this? Mushrooms are actually given to us by God to break down the compost, the materials in the soils. They're in harmony. There's this the symphony that happens in the gardens where mushrooms are a part of that, where they're good. Actually, the best mushroom you could possibly have would be mushroom compost. It's so expensive you can't afford it, but if you've got mushrooms growing in your gardens, that means that you've got organics naturally breaking down in the soils. Either you've been adding manures, some mulch, you're a natural composter. And then those spores come in, they float in, or the birds come in, or the bugs bring them in, and then they start to grow in that portion of the garden, and then they help you to break down that compost to its lowest element where the plants can actually pick it up and receive it and use it and then recycle those nutrients back into the garden. So my mushrooms in my garden, I look at them as pieces of art. I mean, they're beautiful. Some of them truly are art. I mean, they're just like, wow, I can't believe creation came up with this. Neat. That's pretty wow. And so I chew on the kids because they go through the garden and they like to kick them, watch them spew all over the place, which, okay. At a certain point when they start to get that mangy, run-down, saggy look, okay, then I kind of scrape them up, but I never take them and throw them away. I take them and break them up, and I add them back into the compost because, again, mushroom compost is some of the best you could possibly have. Sometimes, if you're into lawns, and you've got a lawn, they'll have what's called a fairy ring. It's a ring of mushrooms that grow in like an oval shape or kind of a circle kind of thing. And they'll start coming up through the lawn. That's called a fairy ring. And it's not bad for the lawn. I don't know that it's that good either. Sometimes you can see the discoloration inside the ring. It's lighter colored. Outside the ring, it's darker color. It doesn't seem to actually kill the actual lawn. It just kind of makes it different looking. You notice it. You go, oh, where did that come from? There is no cure for fairy ring. Typically, what that is, it's a root or some sort of trunk, a structure underneath the soil, sometimes many, many feet underground. Let's say you cut back or cut down a big willow tree or juniper, whatever. Or maybe they scraped your lot to put your house up 15 years ago. Now you're starting to water that lawn, and you start to see this fairy ring come up, this ring of mushrooms. What's happening there is those mushrooms, those roots, go down all the way down to wherever those roots were growing from the tree originally. So they're breaking down and composting that old root stuff in the ground. Then they come up and they celebrate by just erupting up into your lawn. There's no real cure. There's nothing we can spray on it. They're actually a benefit to the gardens. They'll actually break down and release nutrients back to your lawn, to your shrubs, to your trees, to the gardens. The best advice we get is to fertilize and to make the lawn green. Just get it actively growing as best you can, to green it up as well as you can, so that you don't see that two-toned effect where inside the ring it's lighter, outside the ring it's darker. That's the best effect you can have. When you start to see mushrooms coming up, you can kick them down just so you don't see them. So basically out of sight, out of mind. The roots of the mushroom are still growing down wherever that organic material is showing up. It's still, those tendrils are still going down to whatever that is. They aren't going away. You simply kicked them over or mowed them down so you don't have to look at them this week. Very likely you'll see mushrooms come back and erupt from that area again. That's in a lawn. That's really the only place you really see that noticeably. It can happen out into the gardens itself or the landscape, but really lawns are where it really shows up. The reason that you see more mushrooms right now during the monsoons is because everything grows better when the monsoon rains are going. It's moist, it's damp, it's warm. It just is the perfect growing. You've got cloud cover that kind of takes the pressure off. Just everything is better in the summer when the monsoon rains come. It's also the perfect, it's like the stars aligned for mushroom growth. So Lisa and I were camping a couple of weeks ago up near Williams. Beautiful forest. Oh, the forests are looking really good right now. And so are the mushrooms in the forest. They're there naturally to break down all of those pine needles, old leaves. The forest really does need, the forest longs for mushrooms to help them break down all that past generations of leaves and needle growth. Helps it to break all that stuff down. Or an old tree that fell 50 years ago. The mushrooms are the last thing to come through and help break down that last bit of composted material in there. The last form, when a mushroom gets done, what you end up with is humic acid. And so humic acid, for you composters, you know this is what you guys do best. You break down a compost pile to its very lowest element. What you end up with is humic acid, and that's what mushrooms do for you. And so a compost pile, you'll watch it compost. It'll actually heat up. It'll shrink. It'll actually disappear. You get this huge 4-foot pile of composted leaves and grass clippings and stuff from the kitchen. It goes down to this just a few inch layer of rich organic. It's like black gold for the garden. Well, that last element is humic acid. It lowers the pH of the soil. It's perfectly balanced, and it's high in nutrients. And so it's also usually high in mycorrhizal fungi. It's a living, breathing product that it finally ends up being. That's why compost is so incredibly, nothing is better for the garden. So that's mushrooms in a nutshell. I would encourage you as a gardener, appreciate them for what they are. Pieces of art, God's gift to us as gardeners to help us break down and compost and make us better gardeners, increases the health of the forest and of your gardens, your landscape. And then when they finally start, if they're in the wrong place, or you're worried your neighbors don't like them, maybe kick those down. But generally, I enjoy them for what they are, and I would encourage you to do the same. Whatever you do, don't pick them up and throw them away. Pick them up, kind of chew them up or dissect them and then break them up and then spread them on the backside of those flowering shrubs. You'll have better flowers if you do that. You'll have a healthier plant, a deeper rooted plant if you do that. You'll have more worms and just things come alive when mushrooms are in the garden. Lisa Waterslane's coming in with your garden questions. Be right back.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, also known as the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain landscapes.
Hi, Ken at Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
We believe retirement means more time to garden, and plants make you happier at Waters Garden Center.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
Check, check, check. Check, check, check. And we have in the studio my Irish gal, Irish Eyes, Lisa Waterslane. She comes and explains or asks the questions that you've been asking that we try to answer live on air here. So, Lisa, welcome back, lass.
Oh, don't even try.
I don't have my Irish on. We just got back from Ireland, folks. So 30 years together. And we decided, let's do something special. Mm-hmm. And you came up with?
Ireland.
Yeah.
Always wanted to go.
Yeah. So it was fun. I would go. It rains. It's green.
Very green. Lots of sheep.
Lots of
sheep. Cows.
Sheep and cows. So lots of green hillsides. And we were in the off back countries, hiking and biking in places that people don't go see. So we weren't on the main tourist routes.
No.
We went with National Geographics, and they put together an exploratory thing in the back country. So you're seeing beehive huts on someone's farm. You're seeing, you get the private behind-the-scene tour of the cathedral or the castle it's quite delightful.
It was fun. Very nice.
Our guides were great. The group was small, 13 of us.
13 people and 2 guides.
Yeah, 2 guides. And we got one of the guides all to ourselves most of the time because we were the most active in the group.
We were. So we were the youngsters in the group.
And the only garden center owners. Maybe that was it.
Well, that was true. Yes.
You were just busy, active all the time, so we could hike up to the tallest. What was the tallest mountain's name again?
Carrauntoohil?
Carrauntoohil.
Yes.
Sea level to 3,200 feet, just like that.
Yeah.
In the rain.
Just like that. Started out beautiful, and then, we hit the clouds, and it started to rain. And
Yep. And it didn't stop till we got back. Came down Devil's Ladder.
Went up through Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
And then it was raining so bad, he just wanted to get us off the mountain. So we came down through Devil's Ladder.
Devil's Ladder, yeah.
Which is like coming down through a waterfall. It was
a waterfall. 2 inches of water everywhere. It was raining so bad. We made it and we lived. We can tell the story. Something to tell our kids.
Yeah.
We'll share a video with folks on our Facebook page.
I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Oh my gosh, are they crazy? Aaron's Island, we biked.
Aaron
Islands, biked all around.
Yeah.
The cliffs and the snake hole and everything in between. Very fun.
It was fun. It was a fun trip.
We would do it again.
Yeah.
I would even do it again with you.
You would.
I would indeed. I wouldn't mind going another 30 years with you.
60 years?
You notice, folks, she's not saying the same thing back. So, anyway, nice to be home, gone 2.5 weeks. Nice to be back. And it's just long enough where you start to miss home going, you know what? I'm ready.
Miss home. Yeah.
So nice
Always good to be home. Isn't that what Dorothy said? There's no place like home.
There's no
That's
place
what
like
she
home.
said.
The crew did a great job. I mean,
Of
they
course
actually
they
kept the
did.
place going like they always do. It's so
Yeah.
nice as an owner of a small business to have it big enough where you can have some key staff members that can
Mm-hmm.
keep things flowing and go. In fact, it was almost better. We should leave more often. It's almost better than before we left. Well done, folks. Yay, you
They
did great.
did a great job.
So this week we've got some Q&A, right? So what have you been finding? What are people talking about?
Well, so Alan, way back at
Here
the
we go.
beginning of the season, remember the giant pumpkins
Yeah.
that we were talking about? We had them at the store.
Yeah.
So he's growing a giant pumpkin.
Good.
So right now he has 3 giant pumpkins on his vine.
Okay.
So his question is, so he wants to enter them in the fair, which is pretty soon.
That's right.
Here,
They
September 7th, 8th?
Yeah, they should be up
somewhere
in that
here?
50, 60, just shy of 100 pounds
So right now he has 3 on the vine. Question is, should he pluck 2 of them and put so the vine puts all the energy into
Gotcha.
one?
right now. Yeah.
Should he keep 2 so he's got a backup? So what's your recommendation?
Alan, I can't quite answer that. Now, generally speaking, with a giant pumpkin, you'll start out with some small ones. They start out like softball size, and then they start growing very, very quickly. In fact, right now, they'll put on, pounds almost a day. They'll grow physically. You can watch them. The main thing to watch right now is have it put all of its energy into one of the pumpkins. So ideally, if you're going for giant pumpkins, you'll take everything off except one, and the entire plant. This plant's probably 10 by 10 or 20 by 20. They're all the sugars it collects, photosynthesis through the leaves, and push it into that one fruit, one giant pumpkin. That's how you get 1,000-pound pumpkins. Now, if he's got 3 of them on there, I'm sure he doesn't have anywhere close to a 1,000-pound pumpkin. He's probably got 50, 70, 100-pound pumpkins. Why are you entering the fair? Just to show off, or do you want a blue ribbon? Pumpkins are difficult to get a blue ribbon on because they're either funky weird or you want 3 perfect ones. There's just a lot of competition with the fruits. I would say enter it just to enjoy, see what people say, and if you get a blue ribbon, that's kind of a bonus. The main thing to watch for that, if you just want a huge pumpkin, take the other 2 off. If it doesn't matter so much, you just want big, beautiful pumpkins, plural, take one of them off and then put all the energy into the 2 remaining. So that's kind of the technique. I would watch one thing, gophers. I've had problems with gophers and voles with our pumpkins before. We've grown acres of pumpkins. Sometimes the gophers will burrow underneath, and you don't even know it. The pumpkin looks whole, and then you'll harvest it, and it's got a hole from the ground up into the middle of the pumpkin, and it ate its way through the heart of the pumpkin. It's very frustrating. Kind of check it. I would actually take those pumpkins and prop them up, get them off the ground to protect them somewhat. Secondly, the voles will come in, the little field mice will come in and they'll start gnawing at the fruit, the flesh on the outside. And again, you'll get this rotten spot where you're going, doggone voles, those mice. Ah! And it's frustrating to go out. You think you have this beautiful, perfect pumpkin, and then it's been bruised, and you can't enter that into the fair. So I would check it to make sure it's perfect, because you do want as best shaped and unblemished fruits when you enter them in the fair. That's the secret.
Okay.
So there you go. It didn't help him at all.
No.
But,
You're worthless.
yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. That's just some School of Hard Knocks we've had with our own pumpkins in the past. I love growing pumpkins because they're so easy, except for
They're
the
fun.
vermin. Yeah, it's fun to watch them grow.
So I was talking to the horticultural lady from the fair the other day. So they're not distributing the fair books this year. They're doing everything online.
Okay.
So just a word, if people are thinking about entering stuff in the fair, you have to go online
Okay.
to look that up.
Sure.
So I think it's Yavapai County Fair. I'm sure you could put
We'll
that
see
in
if we
and
can find that, put it on through our Facebook pages, that kind of stuff. We see it show across. We'll share it just to get the word out to folks. Because our customers that tune in here, that shop here at Waters Gardens, they're fair people.
And
that's
you
fun.
should do it. It's fun.
It is fun. Yeah, whether you win a blue ribbon or not, it's just fun to be a part of the energy of all that, all the agriculture that's coming in.
And you could win a prize.
You could win a prize. There's money to be had, or a blue ribbon.
That's true. Okay, quick question. Teresa wants to know, is it okay to plant perennials this time of year or going into fall, or is it too late?
Oh, no, not at all. I would say it's ideal. Oh, no, you're fine. In fact, you'll see a whole series of late summer, early fall perennials that are unique to this time of year. You won't find them in the spring or in the winter or in the early summer. They only show up now. So echinaceas, gaillardias are famous. The mums. Have we gotten our first load of mums yet?
We did.
Oh, hey, so mums start showing up. They're probably heavily budded.
They're
asters.
Budded. Yeah.
So you've got this whole series of late summer, fall perennials, and they'll keep their shape. They'll keep their flowers through Thanksgiving or so. Mm-hmm. So you've got months and months to enjoy them. And then they'll keep their form till the end of the year, really. It's January sometime. Eventually the snow will get them to lay over. You just prune them back like you do all perennials. And then you fertilize them in March and they take off again. So you'll get a full root this by planting now. And then you'll get even more growth next spring by not waiting till spring. You get better flusher growth next spring by planting now in summer for next year. So you're setting the stage now for next summer, spring's gardens.
Yep.
Absolutely a great time to plant.
You bet.
Yeah, when you find them, grab them because that's the crops are still coming in.
Yeah.
We still get shipments every week here at the Garden Center, so there's fresh stuff to look at and peruse. Thanks, Lisa. Be right back, my Irish gal, with more on The Mountain Gardener.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Hi, Kenneth Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
We believe strawberries taste better picked fresh from the garden at Waters Garden Center.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
This is one of my favorite times in the garden because it's an accessory season. This is the time when you're going out and you're putting your fall flowers, pumpkins, little ornaments I take home, little statues, cute things, and I'm decorating the front of the house. I'm anticipating what the cold in 2 months is going to happen. I'm trying to get my mums full before the cold comes. I'm trying to get my pansies to fill in and fill those containers and raised beds before the cold comes. They will actively, aggressively, beautifully grow right now. They will outshine anything else in the garden. Your snapdragons, they've been looking rough. If they're still alive out there in the yard, cut that old spent flower off, refertilize them with that all-purpose plant food, 744, sprinkle just a little bit around the base, and literally within really 2 weeks, full bloom. Because this is almost, it really is the perfect time to garden. Plants just love this time of year, especially those cool season fall plants. I would say a tomato that's not performing. It's diseased. The leaves at the bottom turn yellow. It's got curls. You've been struggling with mildew all over that squash or zucchini. Your beans they've stopped growing. They've stopped setting beans. You've harvested those radishes. I would start plugging right away your kale, your Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. There's lettuces, whole series of cool season winter or fall and early winter vegetables you can plant now. But the gardens are overwhelmed. They're like a jungle. You need to look for the weaklings and rip them out of the ground. Be brutal and just rip them right out. If they aren't performing or they're performing lightly, yeah, you picked a tomato. It was 2 weeks ago and there's really nothing else going on. Don't tolerate that. Get some space in that garden for your next crop and plug in some Brussels sprouts. Put your peas in. Have some carrots going. All of those things go in the month of September. You need to put them in while the soil is warm so that they have time to root, flush, set new foliage, and really become robust before that first fall frost. That'll be about Halloween. So you got 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months, depending on your elevation. Some of you have 3 months. If you're down in the lower, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, Sedona, those areas, you've got a little more time, maybe a couple weeks more, not that much. But it's nice and cool during the day. It's nice and refreshing during the evening, so the plants don't burn and dry out. Whereas if you're to put those cool season plants in back when it was hot, they would flush new growth. They would start to bolt too fast. Your lettuce would go into flower and they'd lose their flavor. Your kales would just become bitter tasting. But they need to have cool nights. Well, that's what we've got. That's why you don't run the air conditioner in the middle of the night. You've got the windows open. We've got the fans on. It's beautiful. That's your cue. If you're comfortable sleeping at night, your cool season vegetables, your cool season flowers are really happy to put in the ground. Now, you just got to make some room. And it can be hard, I understand. You gardeners, you're all the same. Oh, I can't. It's still alive. Oh, no. But it's ugly. Get rid of that sucker. It's not blooming. You planted it to bloom. Rip that thing out of there. Replace it with something beautiful. Replace it with something fragrant. Get it to where it can keep looking good right through the holidays. I mean, if you plant now and get them flushed and filled in, that thing, when that first frost comes, it will be absolutely magnificent. And it will stay that way right through the end of the year. If you wait and plant them until after that first frost and November comes, all of a sudden you'll plug them in the ground and yes, they'll grow a little bit. Yeah, they'll put a few flowers on. Yeah, the violas will be okay. The Dusty Miller, they'll be all right. But they won't be big, bold, and beautiful. Simply by backing that up a month and planting in September instead of end of October, all the difference in showmanship out in the garden. It goes from brown to light green thumbs to, whoa, she's a gardener. I can't believe the neighbors will walk by your house going, wow, their yard just looks so good. All you did was tune in to Ken, your friend, the mountain gardener, and we told you the sequence. What's the timing? When should you start doing things? And that's what will play out for you. You just got to take advantage of that warm soil transition. I'd say in the vegetable garden and also in your flower gardens. Do those. It's a good time to plant. Everything will grow fast right now, including your weeds. If you notice that, oh my goodness, I can't keep up. And I put the weed preventers down. I mean, it's still, of course, if I have one weed, I'm going, oh, you aren't even supposed to think about growing in my yard. I thought I killed all of you and your brothers and your kin. So I get upset. I hate weeding. But you need to get ahead of that. There's lots of time left for weeds and plants to grow.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Wondering why my garden looks amazing? Well, that's personal. The personal garden shopper service at Waters Garden Center, that is. Before talking with my personal shopper, I had no idea which plants would be best for me. But now my garden is bursting with flowers and buzzing with hummingbirds. Just go to watersgardencenter.com, click on Shop, and choose Personal Garden Shopper. A Waters Garden expert will pick the perfect plants for you, personally. The Personal Garden Shopper, only at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
We believe searching Waters plants are better than a Google search at Waters Garden Center. And we are back in the studio with my favorite lass.
Oh, you gotta stop.
Lisa Waters Lane. I just can't. Although I can't get my Irish accent down very well. So
no.
It comes out pirate.
It does.
or Indian or something.
Yeah.
Anything but Irish.
It's not.
It's an insult
it's
to
not
all
a good
Gaelic
Irish.
heritage.
But what was so funny when we were over there is everybody's like, "Oh, you're Irish. You're from
scream
here.
Irish.
You're
Yeah.
Irish."
There's deep
You
bloodlines
just had
here.
that look to you.
Yeah, it's the eyes and the height and the body shape and
The body shape is what we decided.
Yeah, I like to think of all Irishmen as good looking. My name is now Finn.
I was thinking it was a way they could tell a story.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe that's where the DNA came from, storytelling.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, this segment isn't about me and my stories. It's about you and your plants or designs. So we give this to Lisa for just to share that. How do you put together a good garden, or what's the seasonality? What should you be thinking about now so it doesn't all go down to my tomatoes rotting? I've got white leaves on my plants. What do I do? I've got wilt, a bug. It's about inspiration and it's about the fragrance and the design, the colors and the textures. That's what gardening should be. And there's some maintenance to keep it going, but that's why we have you with your own how-to segment. So inspire us all.
Well, I will. But you know what I was thinking about Ireland?
Okay.
What was so funny there was I was expecting to find this whole new genre of plants. And we get over there. And there were some new plants. And it was very pretty, because of the lushness and the greenness. But I was also amazed at how many plants they grow there we actually grow here.
Yeah, it's true. It was surprising,
very much
wasn't
the
it?
same. Yeah.
So hydrangeas, of course.
Well, yeah.
But then
Tons
also
of hydrangeas.
Eleagnis, which is a native to Arizona.
Right.
Grows
They were
wild over there,
growing it
too.
Over there.
Yeah.
And there was, you and I, we were sitting somewhere, and I'm like, oh my gosh, red tip photinia.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's
Can't
not.
be. Yeah.
So you had to go over and pick a leaf. And
Sure enough.
Was it?
You were right.
Yes.
My dear, you were absolutely right on the money. Right.
So, yeah, you cannot escape red tip photinias.
They're everywhere. In nuclear holocaust, all that will be left are rats, cockroaches, and red tip photinia.
But yeah, it was just amazing how much was similar. But what was amazing over there is the rhododendrons. They have rhododendrons that are invasive. They're taking over their lands over there. Basically, they've just taken over huge swaths of the forests and different areas. And so they're trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's like our tamarix.
Right.
Or switch some of the grasses. They're they're invasive here. Over there, it's rhododendrons or invasive. So they're trying to get rid of them. They were introduced hundreds of years ago. I mean, estates, folks that travel the world and collected plants, they brought them back to their estates in Ireland, and they escaped and started to cover the countryside. So entire hillsides were covered in rhodies. I mean, they were beautiful, but also jungle-esque.
Yep.
They
taking out some of the native type things.
They're choking out stuff. So it's fun to watch.
Well, not so fun to them.
Well, if you're just visiting, it's great fun. We went to Powers Court.
Oh, beautiful!
Which was the National Gardens.
Well, it's not national. It's a private garden.
Private garden, but
beautiful.
The Irish
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
The dahlias there were spectacular.
Over the top.
Yeah, the hydrangeas. And the thing we noticed there, the roses, not so good.
No, not enough sun for roses. They
all had black spot, battery mildew, but very fun to go other places and look what's growing there and how they grow. And
one of our favorite things to do when we travel is when we have an off day, and we like off days. We like to not have to be someplace because we live with deadlines. We will die with deadlines. But when we're traveling, the last thing we want is you better be on the boat when the whistle blows, or we're leaving you behind. We just don't want that. We'd rather be on a palapa, sipping a whatever, watching the sunset go. We'd rather do that. White sands, overlooking and watching the sunset. We love going to the market and picking up a fresh loaf of bread, some cheeses, a bottle of wine, some water, sparkling water, and going to a private garden or a botanical garden of some sort, a city park, and then watch the gardens, people watch, and just relax,
Yeah.
watch things happen. So that's a fun thing for us. We do that often, actually.
We do. Yeah. So, anyways, enough about Ireland. But it was
Never.
true. We'll just go on and on and on. Bore people to
It's
death.
half travel show, half entertainment, half gardening. So you get all three with us.
Right. Poor
That's
people.
the joy of even if you're not a gardener, you better enjoy traveling or enjoy the entertainment value.
It's funny. One of our guides is from Ireland. Anyway, she just started doing a radio show. And so you and her were talking, and you're like, well, what do you talk about? And we're like, oh, just about everything.
Yeah. Life. It's about people. It's about stories. And it's not just about the topic. It's about your life and how you connect and how our lives interconnect for us through gardening or through our properties or through our homes or through our friendships or through our travel. Yeah, we're all people. It's about connections, ultimately.
Right.
It's a story about people.
Right.
We just use plants to connect people together with.
There you go.
I never thought about that. That's a good. That might be a new angle for this. That's not a new angle. That is our angle. We just didn't know it till now.
There you go. Anyway, so we're back. It's the end of the summer.
It's Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, where did the summer go?
I know. Well, where it always goes, I guess, in the sunset.
In the sunset. So,
I love fall anyway. It's a better time. It's
you
less
do?
hot.
Because you never say that.
Well,
I love fall.
Yeah.
You tolerate fall.
I don't like fall because it just means winter's coming, and winter is so
Winter is
cold. I know. Puddle glum. If you know the story of, Narnia.
Narnia. But I love fall. I love everything about fall. And I especially love fall plants.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorites.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Is that our topic today?
It is.
There we go. Good lead in.
There we go. And I think the king of all plants has to be...
Let me guess. It's too soon for red leaves, so mums. Chrysanthemums. There you go. Yeah.
Mums are an amazing little plant, especially here,
Mm-hmm.
because they are a terrific perennial. They are I was talking to a gal from Chicago, and she was like, well, when you get your fall mums in? I said, oh, they're probably next week or so. And so we got them in. They're in bud still, which is great.
That's
because
perfect.
that means you'll get a lot of bloom time off of them. And I was saying, no, they're a great perennial here. They'll come back next year. And she's like, oh, they come back? She's used to putting them in, and that's it. They don't winter over.
Right.
And it's like an annual for them. And I said, oh, no, they come back every year. They're beautiful. Put them in your perennial beds, your pots, whatever. And she was just amazed. So, they do terrific here.
A lot of the Midwest, East Coast folks, they grow greenhouse mums. That's just a greenhouse. It is an annual crop. Mm-hmm. And so there isn't a whole series of annual mums. We grow ours outside to be outside here. And so they're actually perennial. Certain varieties are perennials, some are annuals, and like every flower. Right. So, if you get the right one, come back every year.
Right. So the ones that we sell here are the perennial mums, and they are beautiful. And we try to bring in the nice fall color ones, the bronzes, the yellows, the reds. We bring in a few purples and a few whites, but we try to focus on those fall
colors.
Ones.
Yeah, sure. Anything else came in that was fall?
We got some more echinacea is in,
Perfect.
some more coreopsis with those yellow blossoms on them. Mm-hmm. We also got some false plumbago, which is a beautiful blue color to it. Makes a great ground cover.
Yeah.
And it also does a terrific fall color on the leaves. Just a
it's
nice
like an orangey red, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Orange plumbago.
Yeah, it's fall color.
And pure blue flower.
Oh,
just unbelievable blue. And all can be planted now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And lots of nice grasses.
This is the time for grass, isn't it? From coral foresters to fescues to switchgrass to pampas. They're all great. This is grass country. I think more gardens,
does very well.
more landscapes need grasses in them because of our breeze, the mountain weather.
Yeah.
They love growing here.
They do so nicely. And you can put them in pots. I mean, you can easily put them in pots, and they do very well.
Some of our nicest grasses are in big containers.
Yes.
And they're spectacular right now. Red sedge. Do you see that red sedge? And that oxblood red?
Taken off.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, Lisa, fall-colored fall perennials and grasses that you can plant now. It's a good choice, a good time. And then my travel buddy, Happy 30th anniversary, my dear.
Thank you.
Love you. We'll be right back with more on The Mountain Gardeners.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Hi, Kenneth Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
We believe in roses that smell like a rose at Waters Garden Center.
Now, the rains have gotten a lot. The soil's moving. I mean, if you're on a slope and you're in any kind of fairly new type of landscape and you're on a grade at all, I mean, just any kind of grade, the water has been so pronounced. We are up. This is just the Prescott area. Actually, all of northern Arizona, they're up, except maybe Cornville. So that's the only one that I've seen that's flat. It's the same as last year. But Flagstaff, Williams, Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, even Paulden, which you guys are pretty consistent. We're all up in rain totals by 4 to as much as 8 inches, depending on where you are. And that variation can be because the cloud runs across the hills. They'll hit a mountain. It breaks up, and then to get up and over that mountain or around that range, it needs to lighten up. And so it releases some rain and goes up and over the mountains and keeps moving. So you'll see this. So your neighbors can get rain literally across the street or across town, and you're dry. And then the next day it's reversed. And so the big story this week has been hail. Some of you got pelted. Oh my goodness. Now, if your leaves got a little torn, that's okay. It will recover from hail. Hail does not kill a plant. It simply makes it look ugly. It'll recover, fertilize, get it to rebud, relief. It'll all be good. What's really happening now is people are coming in going, are there any seed that I can throw over the edge of my hill that will root out and hold the hill down? And so they want an easy fix. And it's just nothing but a rock pile, or there's some riprap or stacked rocks up the hillside to keep it all intact. There is no easy solution to this. Well, actually there is. I'm going to simplify it. There's no seed. You can just chuck over the edge, $10, $20 worth of seed, chuck it over the edge, and it magically starts to come up, root down, and all your problems are done. That doesn't happen. If you do that, I do have some wild seed. I've got 2 or 3 varieties here. So we mainly sell that seed mix. It's a native seed mix for revegetation. Let's say you put a new septic field in and the leach lines are just all torn up. You want to have that naturalize again. I've got the seed for that. But to just throw it over the edge and have it come up in amongst the rocks, some of the seed will do that, but most of it won't. The way nature gets around that is they shed millions and millions of seed, and then a few, very small percentage actually come up. Those are the ones that you see. You're thinking this is all magical. I don't think you as a homeowner or I as a gardener can afford to do what nature does so easily, because we're limited by pound package or whatever size that we're buying. You're better off for erosion control. You're better off with shrubs, low growing shrubs. There's a whole series here at the garden center. We curate all of the shrubs from small to tall, like we do the trees. We go from the cute ornamental trees all the way up to the giant shade trees and everything in between. What the shrubs, some good, I'm just going to give you a couple lists here, a couple of my favorite erosion control plants. So if you're driving, pull over, get your pen and paper out. We're about to give you the list. But you can take a look at these, and most of them are javelina. In fact, I'm going to give all of them are javelina and deer and rabbit resistive. Okay, I can't say proof. I can only say resistive, but generally speaking, if there's anything else in the neighborhood to eat, they would rather eat that than to eat these plants. They're also deep-rooted. They grow up about ankle high, no more than knee high, and they spread out by 6 to 10 feet wide. So one plant, put it on a drip system. The roots will go out 10 feet. The shrubbery, the foliage, the green piece of that will grow out and just hold that hill in place. And it's pretty easy, but I think the best way to go about that is to put them on a drip system and use low-growing shrubs. And let's start with probably one of the most popular, most well-known, because we're in the mountains of Arizona and we have naturally occurring juniper forests. Well, junipers are naturally going to do extremely well here. I think we downplay junipers. I know they're kind of old-fashioned, but there's some new varieties out, some new colors, textures that are really, really pretty. There's Blue Star, great, just intense blue color. There's Buffalo juniper, which has been around forever, just consistent, always green, always growing up to about 6 inches. They'll reach out about 6 to 7 feet wide. Just this beautiful matte area that will hold that soil in. It's not going anywhere, no matter how heavy the rain is. So look at some of your junipers. They do so well. Blue Rug is well known. I could go on and on. There's so many varieties. I probably have 10 different varieties of just spreading junipers. I'm not talking upright like the tree forms like you're thinking. I'm talking low growing. And the junipers, like the low growing ones, they're not your allergy problems. It's the great big natives. It's the females. No. I take that back. Females form the berries on junipers. The males are the ones you want to curse. They're the ones that cause all the allergies. They're the ones that have that yellow pollen that just erupts, and he'll come out in spring and just spray this pollen to every place and trying to reproduce with every female in the neighborhood. Females receive that pollen, form berries. It's the males that cause this. Well, they bred that out of the ornamentals, the desired varieties. They're not your allergy problem. So I think we can get back into that. You landlords, if you have tenants in your property, you know what tenants do. They tear up the drywall. They rip up they break things. They kill the landscape. You need bulletproof. You need absolute. You cannot kill this thing. It grows on its own without any care. That's a juniper. A companion plant to that would be cotoneaster, or the way people pronounce it is cotton Easter. That's how you spell it. But cotoneaster, there's several low-growing variety. One's called a cranberry cotoneaster because it puts on a spring bloom that's white, and each of those flowers puts on a berry that looks like a cranberry. It's absolutely beautiful. Evergreen, like a juniper, grows up about, just ankle high and spreads out about 10 feet wide. It's an amazing little plant, and you can combine them with junipers because they take the same sun. They're both javelina proof. Deer aren't going to bother them. You can't kill them. They're just consistent, and they're great at erosion control. One of the prettiest that I'm using in my yard, cranberry, there's coral beauty, there's Eichholz, there's Strebes. Those are just the ones at the top of my head. Again, cotoneaster, there's a lot of varieties. Look at the one that appeals to you. But you can mix and match. Do very well on a hillside. You probably should mix and match. Have a garden-esque kind of feel. Okay, back to the one I use quite a bit in my yard. I use creeping rosemary. Rosemary, like you use in the kitchen, it's evergreen, great fragrance. Mine blooms twice a year, once in the spring around March, and then it's starting to bloom usually in the fall, and it goes right through. It's got everything you want. A spreading, there's two types of rosemary. Upright, it gets up about chest high or so. Those are shrub-like. And then there's spreading or creeping rosemary. Those are going to be about knee-high, maybe a little shorter than that. And one plant, I planted one in my landscape, a 2-gallon variety. It's already 4 feet across. It's really great. Goes down to 0 degrees. It's a great plant for here. Others real quick that are spreading, erosion control, javelina proof. There's a Harbor Dwarf Nandina. Gets up about no more than 12 inches. You've got euonymus. And I would go so far as to say ground cover roses, of all things. There's quite a choice you can play with. And they all can be planted right now during the monsoons. Be right back.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Hi, Ken here with the Plants of the Week and our Lavender Shades Blooming Penta.
One of the best butterfly attracting plants. It's right up there with milkweed, only prettier.
Hummingbirds have to dance around all the butterflies of this deeply colored summer bloomer.
Plant a few in the vegetable garden to attract pollinators that help tomatoes and squash set more fruit, all for under $10.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love to garden, they love to shop. Hi, Ken at Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop. Now, we are deep into the garden class session for fall, summer and fall sessions. So this Saturday, we've got the edible landscapes. I'm teaching that one. So we'll go over all the berries. How do you work with our environment, this high elevation, and get the harvest out of it? Of course, blackberries, grapes, raspberry, fruit trees, all those. Next week, September 9th, gardening for newcomers. This is one that's always popular. It'll start at 9:30. You might want to bring your own chair to this one. This one, it can be standing room only, just because we have so many new people to mountain gardening. They're not sure of what to do and when, what plants. So it'll be what are our zones, what are the frost dates, all the details. How do you do with our water, our soil? How do you plant? We'll go into all the details. Lots of handouts, lots of time for Q&A. Next Saturday. And I think Lisa and I will tag team that one together, 9:30 to 10:30 in the back greenhouse here at Waters Garden Center. It's free. Please, we want you to be better gardeners. Then we'll go over some of the new plants that just came in that you can be planting now and enjoy right through the winter season and then into next spring. And then wildlife and bug prevention. That's September 16th. So that'll be, again, if you've had problems with grasshoppers in Chino Valley, or you've got mildew in Prescott, or deer in Groom Creek or Williams, this is the one we'll go over how to deal with all of that. Then September 23rd, Western Natives and the Water-Wise Landscape. How do you plant for less maintenance, less water use? How do you have that high elevation, deserty kind of landscape that just doesn't, you're not a slave to it? You can take a look at all of those at watersgardencenter.com, and right at the very front, you'll see a big classes button. Just look at that, and it'll give you Facebook. It'll be Facebook under the events tab. So it's easy to find out what's going on. And of course, if you're part of our Garden Care Club, you're one of us, the insiders here at Waters Garden Center. You'll get that on our emails. If you want to be a part of that, it's learntogarden.org. You can sign up and get a free copy of that as well. So anyway, we want you to be better gardeners. We share this garden information free of charge. We do this radio show. We do video posts. We do so much to help people become better gardeners locally. And we feel if we can help you, if Ken and Lisa, we're your friends, we're neighbors, we're leaning over the fence, we're sharing some of the things we've learned. We're thinking that if we do that to enough people, some of our friends will appreciate that and want to buy their plants and their products from Waters Garden Center. And it's worked for us for decades. Lisa's father taught that to us. Be generous with your time and information, and people will shop with you. And so it's so easy. It's small. It's local. It's a small local business. And that's worked for us over the decades, literally. That's our formula for success. We are I would say one thing that Lisa and I have been doing locally to help. We have a lot of friends and family that live in Texas in the middle of Harvey, just that whole hurricane thing. And we wanted to donate some money. And be careful who you donate. There's a lot of spams going on. A lot of people holding their hand out that the money won't get there. So Lisa and I, have donated several $100s this week to I'm a Mason, so I gave it through our lodge, and then local Masons will be hands and feet on the ground, and will give it appropriately to help those brothers over in Texas. And then I've also given quite a bit through Rotary. Again, Rotary, the local club, will give it to the Texas club. You've got hands and feet on the ground that will make sure it gets spent, 100% of it, right there. Make sure you're giving it to the right people that can have an influence in Texas. So you've got hands and feet on the ground. That's the advice I can give you, and watch the spams going out locally. Hey, Ken and Lisa Lane, we're here at Waters Garden Center, here to help whenever you need it.
I was raised in a nice house with my family. Now I'm out on my own and have my own apartment. I love my cute little place, but there's something I do miss. I miss my mom's garden in the backyard. It was so special because over the years I was growing up, I watched her give those flowers and plants such a personal, loving touch and so much color. I miss it so. Well, guess what? I just visited my local garden center and they gave me some great ideas. And now, because of them, when I look out my patio window, I see the beautiful planter they suggested, teeming with flowers, bright Arizona flowers. Looking at those flowers gives me such a nice feeling, and it's almost like being with Mom in the backyard all over again.
Want help with planting? It's all online at plant-something.org. Brought to you by the Arizona Nursery Association at plant-something.org.
You'll love it too.
We believe local businesses are better than impersonal box stores at Waters Garden Center.
You've been listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to the area. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener.